Good morning, students, faculty, and parents. Today I will be talking about a topic that means a lot to me. It's about life in a military family. My dad was in the Army for 31 years and had 4 tours to Iraq. Although my dad is retired now, the years that he was away made a huge impact on my life and that of my family. My family has a long history with the military. It spans the Revolutionary War, both World Wars, the Korean War, and Iraq. A distant relative, Jacob Rarer, was a lieutenant in the Pennsylvania militia during the Revolutionary War, and another distant relative, Christian T. Christensen, was in the Civil War. My great-grandfather, Matthias Hukens, was in the Army and served in France during World War I. My grandfather was in the Navy and served during World War II and Pacific. My other grandfather, Carl Catalese, served in the Navy. He was on the USS Coral Sea aircraft carrier as an airplane mechanic. My great-uncle Antonio Catalese was in the Army and served as an infantryman during the Korean War. My great-great Aunt Jean served as an Army nurse during World War II. My grandmother Ellen also served in the Navy as a journalist, but now I'm sure you know what I meant by a long history with the military. Let me bring this back to my dad and the impact of his tours. I was only around for the last 10 years of my dad's career, 6 of which he was gone. Given his tours, we could not move around to be with him, so this meant I didn't get to see him very often. The memories I have of the visits we made to see him when we went to Fort Dix and Fort Bragg remain strong and with mixed emotions. I can remember going up to Fort Dix with my mom and brothers and playing on the playground and going swimming, a happy memory. He was in civil affairs during all 4 tours. Civil affairs is the military commander's connection to the civilian authorities in Iraq. He worked with the State Department provincial reconstruction teams. He started his military career as a tank platoon leader and as an infantry company command leader. In addition, he was a battalion brigade division officer. He also graduated airborne school. A funny story my dad told me was when he had just returned from his first tour, and Henry and I were 2 years old, and we kept peeking into my parents' room giggling. He was just sitting there watching us peek through. After he came back from Iraq for the second time, we went up to Fort Bragg, and I vaguely remember it being this warehouse-type building, playing on these wooden planks before we got to see him. All these men came marching into that warehouse wearing camouflage uniforms while an army band was playing. They all lined up in formation, and that is when I saw a man waving at me, my brothers, and my mom. Henry, my twin, and I didn't recognize who he was since we were just turning 3 when he left and 4 when he got back. I can remember hiding behind my mom's leg, acting all shy. To this day, this memory has made quite an impression. While Dad was away, my grandma was always over at our house on the weekends, taking care of me and my 2 brothers. It seems like the 4 of us did everything together, including eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She helped out with everything that had to be done around the house. During Christmas, Henry and Jacob and I always made butter cookies with her. Since our dad wasn't there, we always shipped a few to him. We also used to send over these weird videos of Henry and Jacob and I yelling into a camera. While he was away, we had a nanny. She was a lifesaver for our mom. Whenever she was over, she had us doing fun arts and craft projects. We played board games together and always had fun. Since our dad wasn't over for a lot of Christmases, we had our good family friends come over. They always came with us to pick out our Christmas tree and also hung out and kept us company. This helped keep our minds off where our dad was. Some of the special times were when my dad was home and he read Henry and I books before we went to bed. He also sang us this one song. That song was, of course, the Army song. It had a part that we would sing to it, but I won't entertain you with my fine singing now. It always ended with laughs and helped us fall asleep. Needless to say, I have countless memories, and here's one that I wish did not take place when it did, but I'm glad my dad was there. The day before the first time we went to Iraq, I cut my lip. It wasn't like a little cut, it was more like a little hole. I was about 13 months old when it happened. I had to get 6 stitches and had to be put into a straitjacket to make sure I couldn't move. Not a good way to spend my dad's last day home before leaving. During these years, when I was so young when he left, I didn't experience much loss until I realized where he was and how long he'll be gone for. In 2nd grade, my football team had a game. We won the game, and my coach decided for our team to sign the ball and send it over to my dad in Iraq. When he got the ball, he took a picture of himself with it in front of the Army headquarters. I was affected by the kind gesture of my coach and proud to show off the picture to all my friends on my team. It was during this tour in 2009 that he was stationed in Najaf and worked for the State Department. I fondly remember him sending a lot of pictures home. The last deployment in 2011 was probably the hardest because I was old enough to realize what was happening. We were having a football pass in our driveway right before my grandmom had to drive him to Fort Dix. This was definitely the hardest moment for me because I was aware of the possible danger he was going to. I received many letters from him in the third tour because he didn't have good internet. We also Skyped, but not that often because of the time difference and because of the poor connectivity. Whenever we did Skype, I always asked if he had seen a camel, and I don't know why I was so interested in them. We received an audiobook from him, and we listened to it before we went to bed. Henry, Jacob, and I always said goodnight, Dad, after the recording was over. After those years of my dad being away left me with a number of impressions. I learned that being close to your family is one of the most important things anybody can have. Having support from everyone who loves you is something that you should always cherish. I found myself taking on more responsibility and becoming more mature. Thankfully, my family endured the separation, and we are glad to see Dad come home safe.